In the city of Baghdad, there lived a man named Sinbad who was known far and wide as a great sailor and adventurer. Sinbad was not born into wealth. He was a poor man who made his living as a merchant. One day, feeling the call of the sea and the desire for adventure burning in his heart, Sinbad decided to embark on a journey to seek his fortune. Gathering what little belongings he had, Sinbad set out for the port city of Basra, where he hoped to find a ship that would take him on his voyage. After much searching, he found a captain who agreed to take him aboard his vessel as a crew member. With the crew bustling about and the sails billowing in the wind, the ship set sail from Basra, bound for distant lands and untold adventures. For many days and nights, they sailed across the vast expanse of the sea, encountering storms and fierce winds along the way. One day, as they were sailing near a group of islands, disaster struck. A mighty storm arose, and the ship was tossed about on the raging waves. Despite the efforts of the crew, the ship was soon wrecked upon the rocky shores of one of the islands. As Sinbad and the other survivors emerged from the wreckage, they found themselves on a desolate island with no sign of civilization in sight. Determined to survive, Sinbad led the crew in search of food and shelter. After wandering the island for many days, they stumbled upon a grove of palm trees laden with ripe fruit. Hungry and exhausted, they feasted on the sweet dates and drank from the fresh water springs that flowed nearby. As they rested beneath the shade of the palm trees, Sinbad noticed something strange in the distance. Rising above the treetops was a massive bird, its wings spread wide as it soared through the sky. In awe of the magnificent creature, Sinbad watched as it landed nearby, its enormous wings casting a shadow over the ground. Curiosity getting the better of him, Sinbad approached the bird cautiously, marveling at its size and beauty. Suddenly, without warning, the bird let out a deafening cry and swooped down upon the unsuspecting crew. Panicked, Sinbad and the others scattered, running for their lives as the bird lashed out with its sharp talons. Desperate to escape, Sinbad spotted a large piece of meat lying on the ground nearby. Acting on instinct, he seized the meat and tied himself to it with a length of rope, hoping to use it as a makeshift raft. As the bird swooped down to attack once more, Sinbad held on tight to the meat, praying for deliverance. To his amazement, the bird seized the meat in its talons and took flight, carrying Sinbad high into the sky. As they soared through the air, Sinbad clung to the meat for dear life, his heart pounding with fear and excitement. For what seemed like an eternity, they flew across the sea, until at last, they reached the bird's nest high atop a towering cliff. As the bird dropped the meat into its nest and began to feast, Sinbad seized the opportunity to make his escape. With trembling hands, he untied himself from the meat and scrambled down the cliff face, his heart pounding with exhilaration. Finally, after a harrowing journey, Sinbad reached the safety of the ground below. Exhausted but relieved, he made his way back to the shore, where he found a group of fishermen who took pity on him and offered him passage back to Basra. And so, after many trials and tribulations, Sinbad returned home, his heart filled with gratitude for his miraculous escape. Little did he know that this was only the beginning of his adventures, for many more challenges and dangers lay ahead on the open sea.